go. Hey, Max, how you doing today? Oh, Max, I'm not hearing you right now.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh,
Can
there we
There
go.
we go.
anyone else hear me?
Yeah, now we
It
can.
Yep,
seems yeah, okay, cool.
now we're good.
Just give a few
Take it away.
minutes to everyone attending to come in, and we'll start maybe in a minute or two. I see the attendees growing, so
Oh, and Mike, I'm just hearing some background noise on your end. Not
I'll
sure if you
mute.
can ride the mute button for this one.
Good thing when the aquatic center is noisy.
I think we can start. Others will probably be joining along the way, but we have quite a packed topic here this here today. So we're going to be talking about digital adoption in the aquatics world. Of course, we have a very good panel with us, so we will have some quite entertaining and very constructive discussions here. I believe this lunchtime. So stay with us. Of course, I'm inviting you to post your questions on the feed whenever you've got them. The goal is to make it as interactive as possible. Panelists, please interact. If you have something to say on the topic at hand, please do so, and we'll try to make it a very lively discussion here. I think everyone's got a nice weather, so let's make the most out of it. Attendees, you're all automatically muted. So, of course, as I said, please post your questions, and Aiden will be happy to raise his hand on your behalf and actually bring the questions up. Audio is available by computer or by phone. If you have any issues, please join us using the phone line that's available in the in the meeting notes. And the chat, of course, will be open. The recording will be made available by email. It will be sent out to you, and we'll post it online eventually as well. So very glad to have you all with us today. I'm Max Trudell, Chief Operations Officer at Evolia, a tech company that's helping companies manage their workforce. More on that later. And I'll be hosting the next hour with my co-host Aidan Farrar, who's partnership specialist at Amelia, our partners, and also part-time professional musician when he's got some time on his hand. We have a great lineup of panelists, both from tech and from the aquatics world. Mike Miller, experienced executive director specializing in aquatic events. He now leads Rosen Aquatics and Fitness Center, where he leverages a demonstrated history of leadership in the sports industry with a focus on critical thinking, community engagement, and fostering inclusive environment. With us is also Dan Brzezinski, owner of The Safer Swimmer, which operates the largest pool management company on the west coast of the United States, as well as Premier Swim Academy, a 3-location swim school brand. In addition to his aquatics experience, Dan founded One Team 360, a platform dedicated to the management, training, compliance, and the incentivization of hourly and shift-based team. My colleague Sebastian Notary is the VP of Business Development at Evolia. He has been in the tech industry almost all of his career. He's the father of an 11 years old who also takes aquatics classes. He understands not only the importance of sport, but the value tech can bring to the aquatic organizations. And from our partner Amelia, Samuel Gawet is a dedicated strategic partnership manager at Amelia. He's focused on empowering the company and his partners by exploring, building, and harnessing relevant business relationship. Last but not least is Karim Zayed, a seasoned aquatic professional with 15 years of experience. He's also the co-owner of K&K Swim School, which operates in over 40 locations across Quebec, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia, with a team of over 250 employees offering swimming lessons to children and adults. Karim also co-owns Watermellow, a global business focused on guiding parents and introducing newborns to the water. Based in the Montreal area, he's dedicated to making swimming accessible and enjoyable for everyone. So we do have a very great panel. We'll be able to go in different directions, both regarding tech and the aquatics world itself. But I'll let my two partners here present their respective organizations to set the table before we jump in our discussions. So Sam, I guess you'll be presenting Amelia, your partner of ours.
Thanks, Max. Yes, absolutely nice to be in front of you all today. So a little more about Amelia. Amelia is an online registration platform. We work in the recreation space for more than 10 years now, working with obviously aquatics facilities, but also parks and rec, YMCAs, and a whole bunch of recreation world. And our mission is really to bring the better tech to this world of recreation. So empowering businesses and community organization to basically just offer everything they have online, help them sell their activities faster and easier, but also helping them manage all of their different operations as well.
Cool. And we're really glad to be able to collaborate on many different projects from Evolia, which Seb will present.
Yeah, thanks, Max. So yeah, very, very excited to be here today and to share this this panel with those great people. Evolia, we are a digital platform that enables organization to streamline their organizational needs through intuitive scheduling systems, timesheets, a lot of different sets of features that help maximize the use of all the employees in the organization. And we've partnered up with Amelia a year and a half ago, and it's been a really great journey so far, as there is such a great fit between both organizations when it comes down to our common clients. So very, very happy to be here today and have the chance to discuss a little bit about the industry.
Great. So let's jump in. Yeah, of course, as I said, this webinar will be available online, and you can find a lot more resources, including some of the webinars we've been happy to join in on Amelia's online resource library. So if ever you want to learn more, this is the place to go. And on to our discussion, I guess. Aiden, yeah, thanks. Well, first of all, let's set the table. I guess many of you attendees are from the aquatics world. We're not ourselves, even though we have the chance to be supporting many organizations here in Canada and the US. But I'd like to start with Karim. You're in the aquatics world. In your opinion, what are the key factors that would determine the growth and success of a more modern aquatic center these days?
Yeah, you can all hear me?
Yep.
So, yeah, awesome. So, when we talk about what makes a modern aquatic center successful, I think it's important to really emphasize the word modern. So let me share like a few key points with you. First up is operational efficiency. It's all about streamlining processes. At K&K, we see how crucial it is to have systems in place that handle scheduling, customer management, facility maintenance seamlessly. The more we can automate these tasks, the smoother our operations run, which in turn benefits everyone involved, from staff and customers alike. Then there's the customer experience side. This is huge. It's not just about the classes themselves, but everything surrounding them. How easy it is to book, how welcoming the facility feels when people walk in, and even the little things like making sure the locker rooms are spotless. Tailoring our services to meet the specific needs of different age groups and skill levels is something we take seriously because it's all about making sure everyone feels valued and supported. And let's not forget about staff training and development. Continuous training is non-negotiable for us. It's essential to keep our staff updated, motivated, which directly impacts the quality of instruction and safety we provide. In our industry, like safety, we simply can't afford to cut corners there. But the most important factor, in my opinion, is, and that's something we really focus on at K&K, is adaptability and innovation. We're always looking for new ways to improve, whether it's in task management or enhancing customer experience. For us, embracing new technologies, being adaptable to industry changes is key. With digital solutions evolving and customer expectations constantly shifting, staying competitive means being ready to pivot and innovate whenever necessary. So those are the factors I believe truly drive the growth and success of modern aquatic centers. It's about combining operational excellence with a relentless focus on customer and staff satisfaction, all while staying ahead of the curve in a rapidly changing industry.
Thanks. And turning to Mike down in Florida, do you have a similar understanding the lecture of the field these days, or is it different for you down there?
No, I think Kareem actually, he hit it perfectly. It really is about adapting. There's a great article out there about adapting or dying. It's about Netflix and Blockbuster. There's a reason you see Netflix and you don't see Blockbuster, and it's because Netflix adapted and when Blockbuster refused. With that, you're seeing it in the aquatics world as well. Coming from a facility that used to be a YMCA and now we're our own entity, we were never able to sell swim lessons online until we got Amelia involved. And now that we have Amelia, we're able to sell our swim lessons online. So giving that customer experience, giving that ease to the customer experience was huge for us. So it was one of those that I really wish back when we were a YMCA, we had Amelia. We used another platform, and but fortunately since then we've kind of grown and got to know Amelia a little bit more, where it could really, we were always told we were different. So being able to adapt, and it's the same with Amelia being able to adapt with us, kind of helped us put our best foot forward. So I think Kareem hit it perfectly with that. You have to be able to adapt in order to streamline items.
And what would you say have been the main challenges of the past few years? I hear that you kind of brought the business online in terms of sales. Your customer experience had to evolve. Which have been the areas where you had to focus the most and pivot the most drastically over the past few years?
Yes, the past few years, in order to sign up for a swim lesson, it really was. You would come in, or even sign up for a membership, you would come in through the front doors. And if you could imagine, that made it very difficult for our business to grow. Since January, we've got our new platform and we've been able to sell online, and we've really been able to transition everything to an online store because it's that ease for the customer. We have seen a lot of pickup in our memberships and swim lessons. We've actually doubled our swim lesson and program growth since January. And we've also grown in memberships as well. And it is because of that ease and the customer service. Not only that, but the communication pieces that we can share between our staff and our members and our program attendees, to be able to email everyone from one place and not have to run 6 different reports to get the list of emails to send out. It really is. It's been a night and day transformation.
And we've talked a lot about the customer experience. You just entered into the employee side, and I know Karim did a bit earlier. I'd like to hear Dan on this. You launched a tech that's aimed at employee engagement very specifically. You're in the aquatics world, and you launched just before that pandemic. So how has employee relationship and engagement changed over those past 5 to 6 years?
It's a great question, and it's the quick answer is it's night and day. I think about what worked then and doesn't work now. The fact of the matter is that today We're no longer living in a world where staff feel they're lucky to work for us. Although if we had them for a little bit and we showed them how well we can treat them and how well the organization works and has adapted from a technology and training and incentivization standpoint, it works. But we're in a completely different place than we were pre-pandemic, and I do think by now everybody who's feeling like we're out of that, right? Recruitment's becoming a little bit easier. If you're having staffing issues, let's jump on a call afterwards and discuss why, because you shouldn't be. But the turnover has been exceptional. So I think the next changes coming are just how do we retain them longer? How do we train them better, get them more tied in, and then keep them longer, especially in our industry. When we think about aquatics, we used to keep people 2-3 years pretty easily. Post-pandemic, 8 months, we're lucky if we get 8 months out of them. We are now back at, it's trending towards the 2-3 year mark. But we're having to work a hell of a lot harder for it than we ever did before.
Yeah, and I believe we see it as well. We're highly involved, of course, in employee recruitment. It's been a busy few years there in the pandemic with everyone trying to find employees. But I think we are back, in fact, into keeping them engaged, keeping those employees. And I believe those the standards of those employees changed quite a bit. Hence the reason for your technology, of course. But I'd like to see from Karim's perspective, maybe how do you retain your employees these days? How do you keep them engaged over those 40 something locations?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like Dan said, monetary value isn't just the only incentive right now. It really matters about culture and listening to your staff and making sure they're accommodated, especially from a health and safety perspective and mental health. Dan, I know you mentioned that labor shortages are maybe not the biggest issue at the moment, but maybe it differs in country to country or province to province. And we're still like experiencing a little bit of that issue. The pandemic made it really tough to recruit and retain qualified staff, especially lifeguards and instructors. The reality was like pools were closed for so long, and the extra barriers to becoming an instructor, like all the certifications needed, it's been a really big challenge for both private and public facilities to get back to full staffing levels and also maintain them, which is I think the bigger struggle now is maintaining that staff. But in regards to additional challenges post pandemic, is it okay if I discuss that, Max?
Totally.
Yeah. So some other challenges would be maybe not from the tech side, but operational costs. With the added expenses from health and safety measures and the general inflation we're all dealing with, budgets are really feeling the squeeze. And it's not just about keeping the lights on, it's about ensuring that we continue to offer high quality services without compromising on the safety or customer experience. And to go back to the customer experience side, one of the biggest hurdles that we're seeing is customer re-engagement. And after all those closures and restrictions, getting people back into the pool and rebuilding that trust has been tough. And for many facilities, it's not just been about reopening the doors. It's about convincing people that it's safe and worth their time to come back. And this ties back into the labor issue, because a lot of the workforce in our industry post-pandemic is either very green or entirely new. Many of them are trying out this career for the first time, which makes retention, it can make retention even more challenging. So we're finding that it's not just about hiring the right people, but also about keeping them engaged and committed in a way that translates into a better service for our customers.
Thanks, and I'm sure Seb has a lot to say on this, because we try to work on operational efficiency, of course, and I believe flexibility can be a great asset there as well. But I'll let you take the stand there.
Yeah, thanks, Max. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to adapt to our employees more and more. The good old times where the platoon was guiding everything in the company doesn't exist anymore. So we have to be there. We have to listen. We have to understand. We have to acknowledge. We have to be flexible. And as managers, it's always a complex environment because there's so many volatile pieces. And this is where I think coming back to a point that Kareem made earlier about the fact that we need to adapt to change. It's the same thing on a tech stack today. As a tech company, we can't just sit on a product and let it live and hope that everybody is going to fit in that segment. We have to adapt the product based on the needs constantly, and we have to be as agile as possible when it comes down to employee retention, giving them access to information in a timely manner. We often ask questions on exit interviews. Was there anything missing? One of the key questions that all organizations ask is, did you have the tool and resources you needed for your job? Most of the time, people will say no. And it's just a matter of having access to that as an employee becomes very key. So we obviously work with a lot of organizations to help them be more adapted to the work-life balance, but now it's like work, personal time, school, name it. There's so many balances to have when you're doing a scheduling of a staff. So these are the parts that we see a lot of change and demand from organization with workers.
And of course, technology, as we mentioned, can help a lot. We wouldn't be there today if that wasn't the case. But before jumping to tech, we discussed a bit about the labor shortage. We discussed a bit about the pandemic. But there's also a big switch in generations. We see Gen Zs coming in. We started talking about alphas lately. Dan, from your perspective, how are they, this generation switch, reshaping how we manage our facilities?
Yeah, it's funny. I took some notes here as Kareem was talking and as we were kind of running through things. And again, it goes back to this idea that we used to be a great workplace and people came to our door and wanted to work for us because word got around. Those days are gone. We're working exceptionally hard to try and find people to come in. We're now at a point, and Kareem, I think you're completely right. I think the Canadian experience versus the US experience is, I think, very different because we got open much quicker. There's definitely a lag there, but we're now at a point where we lost our entire middle management crew, right? With this generational shift, and then COVID really threw things in a tailspin. We lost our entire middle management. We spent what we consider last summer rebuilding and suffering through retraining of middle management. And then for the first time since pre-COVID, we had returners coming back who actually had experience. But more importantly, we had people coming back who were accustomed to receiving feedback and were accustomed to being told that they maybe didn't do everything right. And there's a lot of people who came in. We saw this last year and the year prior that had never had a job. You know, they might be 17, 18 years old. They never had a job because of the timing of the pandemic. Their parents were completely somewhere else, so they're not giving them feedback. Generally, I don't know if we call it latchkey kids, but this version of latchkey kids. And now they're coming to their first job and their first place where they're treated like an adult. And they're being told they're not doing everything right. And we had people walk out. I mean, literally, hey, great job today. Just next time, if during the lesson, if you can make sure that you're a little bit louder. Screw this, I'm going home. And literally just couldn't handle the pressure of that. And you know, we're now finally getting to a point where they understand that feedback is a good thing, but we've had to work really hard to teach them. So I think that's been one of the biggest. And I don't know if we want to call it Gen Z versus Alpha versus whatever we want to call it. I think it's a timing thing of just when they came in their first roles. There was also this sense that we needed them more than they needed us. And again, a lot of people didn't feel like they had to take feedback or had to, they just felt like they had lots of options. Hey, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm just going to go somewhere else. They need me over there. Things are starting to level out, and we're seeing a big shift there. But the biggest thing is just the ability to take feedback and coaching and learn. We didn't see that 2 years ago. We're starting to see that come, kind of the ship getting righted, so to speak.
And I think, well, I've heard from my son's friends, there's quite a reality check this year for those who were looking for their first job, because they've been hearing that it was easy, that jobs were at every corner for the last few years, and then they get they don't get called back, they don't get interviews for all the job, they don't see this power that the people 2 years ago had. And I feel that it's been a reality check for a few workers that are going into their first job, but probably just a return to a more balanced world, should I say, that we used to have before. So we'll have to adapt, all of us, to this in terms of recruiting, and we'll have to adapt in terms of experience for customers, for sales, for management, operations, and everything we've talked about. I feel this gives us a good picture of where we are right now, where the industry is at, and kind of all of the road we had to take to get there, to level up because of the challenges we've all faced in our different industries and realities. And I want to bring the conversation toward, well, the core of our topic today, which is technology. How can technology actually have a core impact on the different aspects of business that we've been talking about for the past few minutes? And I'd like to pass it first to Sam. In terms of booking, I know that you guys, Mike, a little earlier, you mentioned that implementing Amelia gave you the opportunity to reach out to new customers and sell online, and actually increase, I guess, the revenues that were coming on board because of those lessons. But Sam, why is it so important for modern, I'll keep the term, facilities to have an up-to-date or an optimized booking platform in place?
Yeah, I mean, it's I want to piggyback on what Dan mentioned from a staff side. He mentioned there's younger generation coming in. They have different expectation. Well, what we're seeing on our side is it's all true also on the consumer side, on the customer side, right? And looking across all our customers, that's really the most important thing when you look at having a more modern platform, a more modern booking platform. Michael alluded to the ease of use. I think it really comes down to the consumer expectation nowadays. So when you think about it, the modern consumer, he's expecting to be able to do everything online, right? They're buying TVs on Amazon. They're ordering dinner on DoorDash. I hired a dog walker on Rover on my phone last day. So they are expecting to be able to do the same thing, and it's all true for the recreation as well. The younger generation, the younger parents nowadays, they are expecting to be able to do everything online, right? So that means booking activities, booking the membership, being able to book private lessons, and so on. So that's really the core, the cornerstone of why it's important to have a modern booking platform. It's to meet that consumer where he is and where he's expecting to. So in fact, I did a little exercise in preparation for this call, and we looked at our historic data for the last 12 months. And we saw that across all the transaction that happened on Amelia platform, 70% of those transactions occurred on a mobile device. So having a modern tool that's mobile first, and that allows clients to do it from their phone, is essential nowadays. Otherwise, you're going to fall short from this mobile expectation. Before I continue, Mike, I see you have your hands up.
No, I wanted to just touch on that just a little bit more, because that's the trend we were seeing back in November and December of 2023. What people would come up and say, "What do you mean I can't get swim lessons or a membership online?" Or even when we were hosting an event, "Oh, I can't pre-buy my ticket before I show up. I have to wait in this line that has 100 people in it." So yeah, making it easier for the customer was huge for us. And that's where I really think we saw that change from when we switched over in January, and we really started seeing the revenues attached with it.
Yeah, and to again bounce from what you're saying, Michael, it's important to have have all of those services online, but it's also important to enable a client to buy it, right? It's not about just listing your activities online and having people phoning in. It's about enabling them to just buy it, just like a regular checkout they would do with any other services online. So we we did from the same query that I did. We also saw that on all of transaction, there's actually 32% of those transactions that happened between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. So what's actually that telling you is that it's telling you that the clients are actually now buying or shopping for activities for their kids and stuff outside of hours that you'd be open. They're doing this from their bed in the early morning because they just realized that little Sam doesn't have a private lesson, or this little Sam has nothing on Saturday, right? So they're actually shopping online, and if they don't have the means to buy it and to finalize the transaction, they're just going to shop somewhere else. They're just going to go, okay, well, maybe little Sam's not going to do swimming lessons because I just registered into rock climbing because I can do it from my phone, right? So it's all of the aspects that really is the most important thing to have a modern booking platform.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how much we can spend from our beds these days. But it's kind of crazy.
I don't want
A
to see
lot.
that, Max. I don't want to see it.
My wife accepted that challenge.
This has clearly become the most costly room in the entire house. But yeah, agreed. I guess we made some we made quite some way in the past few minutes, coming from you have to move to the facilities to actually buy, to making it online. And then you mentioned it's not even about buying online anymore. It's about buying from your phone, buying from your account, and making it as frictionless as possible, because the bar has been set pretty high by the Amazons and others in this world. You can basically buy a house in a few clicks or get a car delivered to your house. So for the customer, it's understandable that whatever they can buy online, they may find another way to do it. So totally understandable how life changing your technology can be for some facilities. And like the word frictionless, but I also like how it's not just about being transactional. It's also being a leverage towards operational efficiency, where if you get real-time insight into those sales, well, you can also improve how we manage our organization, our forecasting capabilities, how we match those customer with different classes, with the offering that we provide, and how we can really use and leverage Amelia into managing our facilities. And another way to do it, to jump on that, is to connect, as I mentioned, your client base with your HR. And this is actually the core of our partnership, where we get your sales data, we improve on the availability of your staff, of your lessons, of your calendar, your facilities, and all of that, to make sure that we book the right staff on the right shift, and that we have someone to actually provide the lessons that you've booked in Amelia. So jumping on HR, Seb, where do you see HR evolving the most, and where can we have the most impact in the aquatics industry? You're muted.
Thank you very much. Classic. It has to happen at least once on every webinar. At the end of the day, I think HR and technology in itself has to be an enabler. It's a bridge for communication. It is a bridge to have seamless operations. Again, alluding to the fact that you're saying that people book at night from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., which is a reality. I do the same thing. I'm a heavier consumer at night than I'm during the day, whatever it is. Having access to the information in a quickly manner really, really helps. And when I'm booking with Amelia, because I did this and I do this because as Max alluded, I have an 11-year-old daughter that goes gym, aquatics, and it happens that Amelia is powering a lot of these in the back end. It makes it a lot convenient for me as a parent to log in and to see availabilities right away. I see that this class has 11 out of 18 spots taken. Therefore, I know right away that there's some spots available, and I can prioritize and say, okay, this time is a good match with my time, and so on. On the other hand, the facility receives all those demands, and suddenly one evening is just in higher demand than others. And it's something that obviously we can predict with data, but sometimes it's just ad hoc. It's just, the nature of the environment changes for some reason, and sometimes some courses become so much more popular. On that end, the aquatic centers, the recreational centers, they have to hire new staff. They want to make sure that they keep the ratio accordingly. So the power of technology is not to have somebody manually having to intervene in the middle of all of that. As a parent, I'm booking, and I don't care what happens in the back end. I want to bring my daughter and make sure that somebody gives her the courses that I paid for. That's my only concern. And then on the facility side, they're receiving a booking. It is a transactional. It's a transaction. There's revenue to it. If everything is automated so that the rooms are booked, the teachers are booked, everything is automated in the back end, it creates a lot less friction. And this helps not only in terms of retention, but efficiency. And the quicker you are to react, the better you are as a business. Because let's not lie, it is a business. When you work in the aquatics world, you're running a business, you're competing. You were saying, Sam, earlier on, competing with rock climbing. It is a fact. It's an activity. We're looking for activities. We're looking, for especially in the summertime, doing the same thing with camps, trying to find a spot for the kids that don't go to school. And it's a struggle, but bringing organization in all of that helps the parents, helps the customer experience, helps the facility, helps the employee, helps the manager. So basically, technology is enabling and helping people just being more efficient and having access to the information in a timely manner. A lot of time you were saying Amazon, it's a click away. I can get a status update from a friend on Facebook. Okay, we are in a world where it's now. I need now. I want now. I can't wait. I'm not waiting in line, Mike, with 100 people in the heat or in the cold or in the rain or whatever it is. You have access to everything remotely, and you just show up. That's really what people are looking for more and more, and that's what tech companies like Amelia, like Evolia, like One Team 360 offer to the clientele. It's just a quicker access to information.
Everything done in real time with no delay, whether it be booking a swimming class or asking for replacement in terms of HR. So everything needs to be as seamless and frictionless as possible. And then you're bringing it to another level even as you introduce gamification in your software. So it's not only about accessing the information in real time, it's actually making work fun in some way. How is gamification changing the game from your perspective of both running those facilities and staff and providing the technology?
So honestly, for us, it's been a complete and utter game changer. It's, pre-pandemic, more so post-pandemic, we've had to be more than just a job. And we've had to motivate people to train more, learn more, do better, and actually care to some degree, right? I think it's changing now. At least we're seeing it change now, but we had to incentivize people to care about the business and make it their business. So the introduction of gamification to our system and our organizations has been huge. So, where oftentimes they felt like they didn't care if they arrived on time or in uniform, or parked the car in the wrong spot in the parking lot that we don't allow, or had personal conversations on the pool deck that they shouldn't have, things like that. They knew that we didn't really hold any power for a moment there. When we introduced gamification, all of a sudden they're not getting their point for the day, which means they're not getting their raise, or they're not getting their whatever it might be, whatever their swag is. It was a huge win for us. We saw overnight the engagement of the staff fighting for those points and wanting to do better, because it gave them the opportunity to interview for a management position, level up in some way. Remember, I think Corinne, you and I discussed this before. It wasn't about pay. It was about the other things, right? It was about the title. Well, great. You want to interview for a management position, earn 42 points. How do I earn 42 points? 42 exceptional shifts, right? And how do we track that in a way that actually makes sense? Because what we used to do was a spreadsheet, and it took 6 people to manage the incentive program. Now we've built it in such a way where it takes no people to manage the incentive program. It's all done automatically and right through our system. So it's been huge for us. Yeah, big win for us.
Yeah, automating the process, making it fun, is probably the next step after, well, bringing everything digital, bringing everything on mobile. Then you've got to create the incentive to actually use that technology, even though if it's easy to use and leverage. But we're the tech people. We of course we all believe, I hope, into the solutions we've built and we're actually bringing out to the world. But I'd like to hear Karim and Mike a bit on this. What's your relationship to technology? Do you agree that it's as necessary as we're making it sound? Or from your standpoint, do you have other things more important to manage?
Yeah, oh, sorry, I'll go first. Okay. I just want to take it back a couple of steps. So I want to go back to Dan's point with his struggles with his team in regards to middle management and the steps you took to combat that. And all the points you made were valid. And I love the stuff you raised to address behavior and expectations for new staff and but how does the employee communicate that information to management and how does management track that, right? And I think that adds to the point of the importance on implementing a modern HR software, like implementing modern HR and booking platforms has made a huge difference for us. And it's not just about making things easier for our management team. It's had a direct impact on how we're able to keep our staff happy and engaged, which in turn leads to a higher customer satisfaction score and employee net promoter score. So our staff love the convenience of being able to manage everything from their phones, whether it's checking schedules, submitting a vacation request, or picking up an extra shift. Having that level of control and convenience has really boosted their satisfaction. And when your staff are happy and feel supported, that translates into a better service for your customers as well. So we've noticed that as our staff satisfaction improves, so do our customer satisfaction scores, which is exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, and kind of go into a little bit more detail on that is I think with the improvement in technology here, at least at the Rosen Aquatic and Fitness Center, we've been able to turn our transactions into relationships. And it's because of how we're able to adapt like everyone else is, and the communication becomes easier. And now we're getting more communication between our participants and more communication with our members. And it's not only the membership or the communication between membership and management, but it's also that communication between the lead instructor and the class and the participants and the parents of the participants. So a big thing for us here at the Aquatic Center has been really able to turn those transactions into relationships, because when you do so, it's easier to retain. So adding the technology has just been a huge asset to us and our organization down here in Orlando.
Yeah, relationship and connecting people together. We're so used to that. I mean, we live in a world that's hyper connected, and sometimes the organizations we work with, or either as an employee or as a client, are the ones we're struggling the most to build a relationship with. So I see all of the value these can bring. I see all of the value also to have a more engaged workforce, as you'll have less turnover, less training needs, and of course your customers in the end will get a better experience if your staff is more motivated. They're actually on premise. They're not missing a shift. There's less no shows. You're not struggling to have a full lineup and all of this. So from scheduling to engagement to bookings, there can be a lot, I see, of value to implement such technology. And implementation somehow is often the biggest challenge when you select a technology. I mean, it's all new and shiny. There are so many technologies for so many purposes that are available these days, and now you select a few, and you have to implement them. You have to drive and control the change in your organization. I'd like to know how is this going in your organization? I know you did implement a few techs, well, from the pandemic onwards. How has this gone, and which were the key drivers of this transformation?
Yeah, so we actually transitioned to Amelia back in December. It was December 15th of 2023. And I remember it because of how easy the transition was. We've had different softwares in the facility before, and the transition was not always easy. With Amelia, they actually, I'll be honest, they held our hands the entire way through and did majority of the work. And we were able to implement all of our member base from our old software into the new software. So the implementation team aspect from Amelia has been absolutely fantastic. We went from weekly meetings to bi-weekly meetings to now we're on our monthly meetings. So it really has been a great transition, and it's been ease. But the importance is it hasn't only been easy for us as the facility, but it's been even easier for the members that are part of our facility, because now they have that app and they have an access that they can do it all from their phone. So the implementation of Amelia for us has been an absolute fantastic transition. Every day we're finding out more and more of what we can do and can offer to our members and to our clients. So it's ever growing and never ending, really.
And I guess to add to that, maybe from like the logistics side, when you're looking to onboard a new technology, even before the implementation side, make sure you ask all of your questions right up front. You got to like brainstorm and think of every single possible scenario to make sure that this software works for you. But the key, and once you get into the implementation side, the key to successful implementation lies in like the thorough planning, really, really good timelines, clear communication and training. And it's important to involve the specific team members like right from the start. So ensuring that software meets the specific needs of the facility or business, and it provides ongoing support to address any issues that might arise post implementation.
Dan, I see you have your hand raised for some time now.
No, I'm good. And Kareem nailed it. I mean, the biggest challenge here is change management. It's the number one challenge, and it's again, Kareem nailed it. When it doesn't matter how great the technology is. It's getting the team on board and getting them to understand how valuable it is. You know, we made a shift in our time and attendance system to Evolia in January, and I remember the sheer panic my team had. You know, obviously the decision makers, myself and a few others, made the decision for a myriad of reasons. And I remember everyone throwing a fit, like we were taking away the break room, or we were the water was going to go from 92 degrees to 78 degrees now. What we were doing was we were changing our time and attendance platform. I remember the day someone called me and go, "Ah, that was great. That was easy." And as I look back to implementation, change management has been the number one thing. And Kareem's kind of talking points there were they hit it, right? It's making sure you've seen the platform, making sure you played with the platform, making sure you ask all of your questions. And it's not just one person who's making the decision on behalf of the group. It's, you know, getting the team involved to see what's going on and see how it works. And because honestly, once you have a couple of champions who understand the value, it's easy. It really is easy. But honestly, the number one challenge that we have as an organization, from our aquatic side all the way to our technology company, it's change management. How do we go through that process? And how hard is it? How hard and painful is it, or not?
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Dan, because I have this thing in my mind that always says like it takes two to tango. And if we're working with a client, it's a collaborative approach. We absolutely need to work with, in this case, we worked with you guys, having the right stakeholder at the table, having the right conversation. Obviously, it is top-down management. There is going to be some change. How do you communicate the change? But when we have clients that are embarking on this journey with Evolia, with Amelia, at the end of the day, we need to have a collaborative approach. We have to set a common goal. We have to put timeline. We need to be thoroughly organized as we're doing this, and to that builds a rapport with the clients. And at the end of the day, I think Mike and Kareem were both alluding to the fact that there's a human factor behind all of this. And when you're doing an implementation, you're dealing with someone that is available to you, that will support you. This is the business model we put in place. The reason why we partner up with Amelia specifically is because they have a very similar mindset when it comes down to hand-holding our customers and making sure that we accompany them in the right way to be successful. Otherwise, we're setting ourselves for failure. So for the managers that are listening to this webinar today, not everything is going to happen without your involvement. You know your environment. Every environment is different. We ask a lot of questions, but we ask questions because we care and we want to do it right. So it really comes along these lines. It is a collaborative approach, and it's a partnership that you build on long term. And when you're working with tech companies, well, you can always bring new ideas to the table. That's the fun thing about being in tech. Sometimes there are things we didn't see coming. Sometimes there's evolving needs. Mike, you were alluding to the fact that things have changed a lot. Things might change along the way. And if you have a good partnership with your tech stack, at the end of the day, you can communicate some of the changes. You can adapt to some of the changes. And the point is obviously to work with you.
And please do make the most of this relationship. As we mentioned, it is a relationship. We want to be partnering with your company as tech providers. There's nothing more human than implementing technology, honestly. So please ask around. Please ask your tech providers for help. Ask them what are the best practices, how you should be doing it, and leverage that. And if they don't answer, or they answer you that they're only building tech and they don't know what you should be doing about them, please run away to a partner that will be a true partner, because that's going to be key to your implementation. Yes, there's a big chunk of planning, but the rest is managing human reactions. Like every one of our panelists said so well, it's about how your team will see this change and embrace this change and actually appreciate the benefits it will bring. But to appreciate it, they need to be willing to actually use it. And you need to have more on board than just a few managers. You need to make the team feel that they're championing the process, and they're the ones who are the ball carriers for that project. And this is how you're going to succeed. And I truly believe that this is how we as tech provider can succeed in helping you make more, create better facilities and better organization as a whole. So please leverage that. Implementation processes are just as key as the technology you'll be selecting. My honest opinion on this one. But I think we've got a proven track record at all the organizations that hire today that do say somewhat of the same. I see we only have a few minutes left. I'd like to know, we're 2024, the year is ending. Where do you see the industry going in 5 years? What are going to be the next big challenges? What are going to be the next big areas of improvement that you're seeing? I see Karim smiling, so I'll put you in the spotlight on this one.
Okay, sure. There's so many possibilities. I'm really excited for how AI is going to integrate into the recreation industry as a whole. But I'd say looking ahead, I think the next 5 years are going to be really, really transformative for the aquatics industry. We're already seeing a shift towards more digital integration, which is great, and I believe it's only going to accelerate. I see facilities becoming more integrated with digital solutions, which will allow for more personalized and data-driven decisions and services. Imagine being able to offer programs that are tailored exactly to what a community needs, based on real-time data and trends. Another big one that's hot in our industry right now is sustainability. I think that's going to play a major role, and we're already moving in that direction with modern facilities focusing on eco-friendly operations like energy efficient pool heating, water conservation measures, and sustainable building materials. This focus on being green, it's not just a trend, it's like it's becoming a core part of how we operate. And maybe the last one would be inclusivity. Inclusivity is going to be pretty big, with a greater emphasis on making sure programs are accessible to everyone.
Great. And do you see the same, Mike? I know you tend to agree too for the past few minutes. Is it the same on your crystal ball?
Yeah, I would say the inclusivity is what we were really going to see. We've already seen that improvement here at the Aquatic Center here, but we're looking forward to continuing to see that and how we can get everyone involved. There's a lot of needs, and I know in our local community, and it's very similar around the nation when it comes to swim lessons and different areas where those swim lessons need to be offered. So with the different platforms, it's easier for us to get our information out there. We have a free swim lesson program for anyone who's doing their first month of free swim lessons, but that information wasn't really able to get out there. So now that we see the technology continuing to grow, and it really gives us that opportunity to really communicate to others in the local community and around the nation. And I think the AI being added into it was a huge deal too. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a lot of AI being added into different technologies and softwares like we're using today.
AI adaptability and inclusivity. Does that resonate with the tech folks we have on the panel? See a lot of head nodding.
Well, absolutely,
Oh.
Max. Absolutely. I mean, and tying it back to what Karim said, for sure, data is a gold mine. Obviously, understanding more about your demographic, understanding how more about your community, how it ties up, but also measuring the impact that you have within your community, measuring how your programs benefit those communities and so on. AI is obviously going to be a big part of that. Which activities should I be doing? What time is the best time to do aqua fitness on Saturday? These types of stuff is where we're headed. So, and I think one thing too, when tying it back to what we're doing with Evolia, and it's coming back to the data point, but making sure those systems are integrated, they speak with each other, that the data flows between systems is instrumental in, yes, adopting modern technology, but also using it sustainably and making sure everyone is fine using it.
Yeah, 100%. We have to remain relevant, and you know we're being challenged by you, our clients, constantly to remain relevant and to bring as much data point and information as possible to make you lean and efficient. And you know, in line with Christine's question in the chat, asking if we do integrate. We do integrate. So we do integrate through what we call an API connector, which means there's a seamless integration that happens in the back end. And it is things that our clients are demanding. They don't want to extract data, pull in data, no manual intervention. So the more we can do these integration, the easier it is for our customers. So that's a path that both Amelia and Evolia decided to go a year and a half ago.
I add one thing really quickly, and it's the aquatics industry is historically lagging very, 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 very far behind some of the more advanced industries, recreation included. So it's important that whoever is listening to this doesn't feel like, oh God, where do I start? It's there's a couple of key places to start, which I know we're out of time. We can't discuss them now, but historically, like Kareem, you were talking about green and talking about a couple other things. A lot of people are still trying to figure out, how do I just keep the lights on? How do I just get how do I build a training system so I can train person A and person B at the same time? So there are, and again, I'm sorry we're out of time here, but there are very easy places to start and obvious places to start that I'm sure anyone on the panel would be happy to jump on and talk about. But aquatics is just like, data has never been a thing for aquatics. It's shit. How do we just teach better swim lessons? Now that we have this accessible to us, I feel like I walked into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's incredible what's available to us now. But you do have to get to the gate first, right? You do have to get there first and be willing to take a look at it. Don't be afraid of it. Know that the stuff, honestly, I can do with one staff member what it used to take me 5 or 6. So if you're doing it right, if you're leveraging these systems, Amelia, Evolia, and others, like, oh man, the whole world opens up, and it completely changes your budget, but it'll change your life as well, make your program better.
Couldn't have ended on a better last note than it's all about making that first step and not being afraid. It's not about transforming everything, but taking that first step that could be transformational for any organizations. So thanks everyone for attending the panel, for being here today. We've had a few questions in the chat. Thanks for everyone who participated. Thanks to our 5 panelists, of course. Thanks to our partner Amelia for hosting that webinar with us. And we do hope you like it. We'll send the video by email, and of course we'll have more of those. So please attend any upcoming webinar or send your questions our way if you have any. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.